Hello, my wonderful friends. It's time again for more stories. I don't know why I said it like that. This is from Reddit user WC Pendragon. That's a fucking very formal name. Lord Pendragon to the story. This is Kirk, the Batshit high school student. Or the story of a fucking creep who made my first few years of high school really fucking stressful. Hello once more, world of Reddit. Recently something happened to me that made me remember some pretty concerning events in my early years of high school. First, let's introduce some of the players. Me, WC, your average high school student, the mom friend, and the ball of stress and anxiety. I don't get paid enough for this shit. Wifey, best friend and platonic wife. Extremely nice and kind. Sometimes too much, but very scary if you cross her. Did not deserve any of this shit. Kirk, our creep of the evening. Named so for his obsession with Star Trek, briefly mentioned. Given the way he dressed and some of the things he said, I think he might even be a larval stage neckbeard. Oh, please tell me he talks a lot in this story, because I really want to do a Shatner impression. Minor characters will be named as we go. So I live in the South. Oh my god, me too, I'm so sorry. In the lovely storm of chaotic energy, humidity, and utter confusion that is the state of Florida. I moved here in the middle of my freshman year of high school due to personal reasons, trekking across the country. On my first week, I met some of my best friends, and we're still together today. But there, in those first 5 days, I also met him. Kirk was a strange little man, and in some ways I do feel bad for him. He was made fun of a lot, and apparently, in his words, he was the subject of over-religious parents who tormented him for being bisexual. However, whatever sympathy I had for him evaporated when he came up to myself and a friend of mine, Sasquatch, during gym class and asked if we knew where he could buy chloroform. Classy. We both said no, and he turned and started asking other people in the gym the same question. Yeah, I'm fucking terrified, while Sasquatch seemed oddly calm, if slightly uncomfortable. I prompted him, and he said Kirk made these kind of displays rather often, and had even threatened to bring a bomb to school in his instrument case, which he carried with him everywhere he went. To make matters worse for my constantly anxious self, I found out that Kirk lived in the same housing development as I did, and that I would often pass his street when walking my way to Sasquatch's house. I never felt safe on that walk, so I didn't really go over very often. One of the key memories I have of this boy is, after I finished my final exam in gym, I got to sit with Sasquatch. We're talking, and a girl beside us decides to join in on the conversation. We're having a pretty decent time when Kirk strolls up and butts into the conversation. I don't remember what we were talking about. This was like 3 years ago now. But Kirk said something the girl found amusing. She laughed, said something along the lines of, yeah, he's stupid. Rather bitchy, I admit, however, but this does not excuse what Kirk did in response. He began looming over her with this look on his face that would have been unnerving had he not been a short, chubby proto-neckbeard. I, who at this point was done with his bullshit, said, dude, can you not? He then turns his looming towards me. What, do you think I'm afraid of you? I asked. And Kirk replied with, if you had any intelligence, you should be. Skipping ahead to sophomore year, I only got even more done with Kirk's special brand of jackassery. Although no, I'm actually scared. Kirk kept coming up to random people, my friend group included, asking if he could, and I quote, violently dismember us in the bathroom. Yeah, he did this for months. He also tried to forcefully insert himself into our friends group after school, putting himself in our conversations and standing way too close for comfort. I would always snap at him, finally managing to grow more of a backbone as the months went on, but never enough of one to actually report him for his actions. Looking back, however, I don't think anything would have been done, as the school did jack shit about a teacher who failed his entire first period class, even though we're the only ones who did any work. That's a story for another time, though. Maybe I'll post it if you're interested. Southern schools. I know them well. Anyway, in comes junior year, and this is where things get really batshit. One of my best friends, Wifey, was placed in the first period with Kirk. Being the sweetheart she is, she would talk to him, and they're seated next to each other. It was, of course, out of pity rather than actually wanting to be friends with him, but this action would soon prove to be a mistake so large it makes the Grand Canyon look like a crack in the sidewalk. Kirk became utterly obsessed with her, texting her, calling her at an alarming rate. For a while, she let it go, until an incident where he called her high as a kite and crying because he was hungry and wanted food. Yeah, she tried limiting her contact with him after that, sending him one-word text, but it's difficult since they still remained seated next to each other. Kirk constantly tried to hug her, put his arms around her, and all that kind of stuff. I'd chew him out, and he'd get pissy, and then he'd go away, only to try again. As time went on, Kirk would come to school at various stages of intoxication, reeking of weed and BO. Kirk would ask Wifey out over text about every other month, and not get the hint when she said no. Things escalated to the point where, once again, high as a crack addict angel on a trampoline, boy, you got away with words, sat next to Wifey, muttering to himself. He then began to wonder out loud if he was wearing underwear. Kirk proceeded to say that he would check, trying to depants himself right next to her, who was flipping her shit internally. Thankfully, he didn't pull his pants down, and was also, in fact, wearing underwear, but Christ on a fucking cracker if that entire event wasn't the most fucking uncomfortable, even just to listen to. Kirk dropped out soon after and moved to another state, and life settled back down for Wifey and I. I started to feel safe walking around my neighborhood, and slightly safer in school. I'd almost forgotten about the entire experience. I'm currently in the final stages of my senior year of high school. A few weeks ago, I'm sitting in one of my classes, and I overheard Kirk's sister talking to a couple of her friends. The words she uttered froze me to my very core. Oh yeah, Kirk's moving back to town name. The time of writing this, it's been about 2 months. For a while, I thought maybe Kirk's plans for returning had fallen through. Maybe we're safe. And then, yesterday, I'm feeling great, a little tired, as prom was last night, and Wifey, her boyfriend, Sasquatch, another darling friend, and myself were out until around 1 in the morning, having fun, getting food, doing the whole thing. And then message on Snapchat. It's Wifey. I have some bad news. At first, I'm terrified. I thought something had happened to one of our friends, but no. Kirk's back. He says he's been back for a couple of weeks. I'm scared, but I'm also angry. After everything that cockroach has put my friends through, he comes back? That's not all. During Kirk's stay in my town and living area, I don't think he, thankfully, ever knew where I nor Wifey lived. Now, though, it might only be a matter of time before he finds out. He's got a job as a garbage man now, which means that one of these days, he might see Wifey or I come out of our homes while he's collecting trash. And even then, there's still the chance that we'll see him in public. We go out to the mall from time to time, as well as a few local social areas. I don't want to see him again. No one does. We might not have a choice. I'm sorry to end on such a melodramatic note, but right now, that is kind of the end of it. I hope we'll get lucky and never have to actually interact with him, though. My hope is a little fizzled right now, however. Either way, thank you for reading this, whoever you are. And thank you, Moonhorse, if you ever put this in a video. Well, I just did, and you're very welcome. Oh my goodness. That is a hard story, guy. Yeah, I know that feeling. I have that kind of worry anytime I go back to a couple of towns that I was in when I was much younger. I knew some neckbeard people around there, and sometimes I really hope that they have moved on, but with a lot of them, they're not moving. You know they're not. Thankfully, I haven't run into any of them, but I do know a couple of friends who say they have seen them, and they don't look so good these days. But I suppose that's personal choice on their part. Some of them have delved deep into the neckbeardery, never to return. So, I do know a few around here as well, but I, never see them, which is really weird. This is not a very large town. This is actually a very small town, and the fact that I never see them basically tells me they don't leave the house. So, yeah. Anyway, it's neckbeards. What are you gonna do, right? I do hope that you can avoid this guy, you and your friends, because he sounds like a real fucking edgelord douche. So, I don't know what I could tell you advice-wise, though, because, there's really not much you can do aside from just avoiding this guy. But I do hope you don't ever have to run into him. So, good luck, my friend. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed this and would like to send in your own stories, you can do that by going to r/Moonhorse Stories. I check it every day. If you put something there, I will see it. And if you would like to keep the lights on in this place, and personally be like 10 kinds of awesome, you can donate to my Patreon, or you can buy stuff in the merch store. And I haven't said this enough, but every Saturday I do a live stream, and I recently changed up a bunch of stuff. So if you donate to Patreon, no matter how much you donate, your name on Patreon will be in the list of donors. That's there's a thing, it scrolls. You guys will see it if you watch the live stream. If not, that's fine. It's totally up to you. It's mostly just me dicking around on the internet. So, anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.